Welcome back to Bully Ball, presented by DraftKings. I am Rachel Nichols, as always, Mr. DeMarcus Cousins, and back with us again, Amin Elhassan. Welcome, Amin.
Cheers. What's up, guys?
Cheers. Cheers and Boogie. It's like midnight there, I think, in Taiwan.
Close to it. But, you know.
So really, we should be breaking out the hard alcohol. Let's not kid ourselves.
Well, man, I thought you'd never ask. Hold on.
Boogie, by the way, plenty to cheers about. His Beer Leopards are in the finals, 2-0, maybe on their way to a sweep, much like the conference finals games over here. Boogie, as usual, tearing it up, 27-12 in the last game. I don't know, man. Boog, what does it feel like? Are you feeling sweep? How's the vibe around the city, knowing you guys are so close? What's it like over there?
Man, it's really high level basketball. It's super competitive. We're playing a really competitive team right now in the top 8 Mars team. So it's not as easy as it's showing on paper. But you know, the competition is really high. The guys don't give a damn the name on the back of the jersey. They're competing. And, you know, that's what I came here for, to compete, play real basketball, and to play for something. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the experience. The fans have been incredible. The city's incredible. So it's all good. The team is in a good place. We got a young team. We got 2 rookies starting in our starting lineup. So
really? Man.
Yeah. So it's exciting times. You know, they're learning on the fly. They're at the biggest stage right now, so it's really dope to see, and they're performing. So really dope to see. You know, I'm happy to be a part of this group, and I'm proud of the group. So we're gonna keep pushing. 2 more before we're champs. So I'm excited.
Man, I love it. A championship anywhere is hard to find. So
yes,
not to say it's going to be easy from here on out, but very impressive 2-0 run. And we're going to have more of the Boogie Chronicles toward the end of the show. So everyone who's been following along the last couple weeks gets to see more of that, which I'm excited about. We got to talk about the playoffs here, though, of course. My friends, these Western Conference Finals, these games have been so good. So good. Kyrie and Luka combining for 66 points to take that 3-0 lead. And look, these games have been so close. The Mavericks, I think, are the first team to get to 3-0 despite being behind in the final 5 minutes of each of the 3 games ever in the NBA history, ever since they started keeping track. That's bananas, but they've gotten some help from the Timberwolves too, of course, who have had an uneven performance. I got to start with this because I know you both are going to have something to say. But look, Amin's already ready. Amin's ready. He can tell. The smile's on his face. Because after the game last night, Karl Anthony Towns, who is shooting 28% in this series, 13% from 3. And before we go in, I just want to say he is a big reason why they even got here. His performance in Game 7 against Denver, they would not have won that game without him. However, his shot has abandoned him in this series. And he said after the game, I don't know what's happening. I shoot 1,500 shots a day. The TNT desk had a lot of fun with this. What is your reaction, Boogie, to hearing that? And then we'll break down the rest of the game.
Man, you can always count on Draymond and call some bullshit. But it's for sure bullshit. But at the same time, as a competitor, as a guy in the position that he's in right now, at one of the ultimate stages of competing, I do believe he's putting in the extra work. This is a guy that's, throughout history, he's been able to shoot the ball at a really high clip. But at the same time, it kind of sucks when you put out a statement saying, I'm the greatest shooting big man all time. And then when it's time to be that, you're shooting 13% from 3. So, you know, it kind of sucks, but I do believe he's putting in the work. 1,500 shots a day, no chance in hell. It's just, I don't even believe the coaching staff will be okay with that. Like at this point in this stage of the playoffs, rest is more important than putting up 1,500 shots. So rest and health. So
I was trying to do the math. How much, if you're taking a shot, would you say it's 10 seconds? Someone's feeding you the ball. You take the shot. Is 10 seconds like about right?
Well, it's a difference, Rach. It's a difference. It's one thing now it's very possible to go in there and take 1,500 shots. But as a professional athlete, we practice makes, not just takes. So
right.
maybe he is in there shooting 1,500 shots. That doesn't mean he's making 1,500. So it's a big difference. And because if you're making 1,500, let's say you shot 50%, that's 3,000 shots. You know what I mean?
So even taking them, would you say about 10 seconds in between shots? Would you say that's right? I mean, how's my math? No,
I think the problem is no one, and Boogie back me up, nobody just takes catch and shoot shots when you shoot shots. You're doing something off the dribble. You're doing something where you screen and you fade, and so those
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. If it's 10 seconds each, I think that's about 4 hours. Someone's got to check my math because I couldn't even do simple like addition and subtraction on TV the other day. Apparently, every skill I've ever had has left me because I used to be a good math student. But I did that. I was like, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Say it's 10 seconds in between shots, whatever. I think that's more than 4 hours.
I'll be
not even just make shots.
I think he's getting up about 300 to 400 shots. I think 300 to 400, possibly 500.
Not in the postseason. Not in the postseason.
I think that's very possible. That's very possible.
The staff not letting him on off day or not off days on the off day between games shoot that much. No, I think I'm gonna be the voice of positivity. I think what he was trying to say is, I shoot a lot. You know, like sometimes, he's called me 100 times. They didn't really call you 100 times. They may have called you 7 times, but we're trying to exaggerate and say, I do it a lot. So that's what I think he was going for. But, you know, Draymond, he jumped on that, and that was it after that. It's tough because, you know, he is a great shooter, but we know everybody goes through. I think the difference between Karl Anthony Towns and maybe other shooters is, I think him from a confidence standpoint, I can see his confidence being shaken. You could tell out there, by the shot selection and some of the decision making out there. So I think what's happening isn't just he's going through a slump. He's going through something, and he's feeling it. He's feeling the world watch him and feeling, here we go, he missed another one. And I think that has a compounding kind of effect where it feels harder and harder. And I think he needs one good game just to kind of break out of it, because right now he's snowballing and he's spiraling.
Well, he got sat for the last 8 or 9 minutes of game 2. I was in the building for that one, and we just kept being like, is he coming back? Is he bringing him back? But Boogie, you've been on Naz Reid since day 1 of this season and how good he is. And Naz Reid was hitting every shot he took, even from like the last row of the stands. He was incredible in that game. So yeah, you don't put Cat back in, but that had to be a little bit of a confidence blow too.
I would say yes. You know, being a guy that's been there as long as he's been through a couple of coaching changes, organization changes. He's seen the ups and downs of this shit. So for them to be at this moment, as much positivity that they've had thus far in this run, that can definitely be a confidence blow in the moment. So but it happens, and this, and that's the part that people don't realize when it comes to, you know, being a professional athlete or being on this stage. It's not just about the physical; it's a lot of mental that goes into this. So, if you're short a little bit on your confidence, it can have a huge effect on your game. So, confident, and people wonder why, you know, these superstars and these stars in the game are considered arrogant or ass. So you have to have that type of persona for these type of moments. This is why it's important to walk around with the I don't give a fuck attitude for these type of moments. Because when these moments hit you, that I don't give a fuck attitude, that Russell Westbrook type mentality, that's what gets you over the hump. Because the moment you start caring, it starts to eat away, and sometimes it's hard to come back from it. Maybe not until that next season. I mean, no knock to Ben Simmons, but we're watching him still deal with that till this day. And it's been about 3 seasons. So it's a real thing. And it's no disrespect to mental health. Like, all of that is real, and I had an utmost respect for it. But it's stemming from literally not having the confidence and performing at the same time.
You're saying it's real. You're actually making the point that it is real. And by the way, poor Ben Simmons having his like double chai latte in Brooklyn this morning, catching strays, but that's fine. With chutney, whatever they have in Brooklyn, with their handmade coffee cups and the whole thing. But no, you're totally right. And I hadn't thought of it that way about the I don't give a fuck attitude. But yeah, once you start letting it in, you let it in, and Kat, he's acknowledged over it. He's sensitive to that kind of stuff. So 100%. What's up, friends? It's conference finals time, the best time of the year. Games every night with the Final Four duking it out. Now, even though the season is winding down, there is still plenty of time to get in on the action with our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, all new customers who deposit just $5 will get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. That's amazing. Get a bonus bet back in the amount of your original bet if your first bet doesn't hit. Even if you lose, you still win with our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. If it sounds too good to be true, it isn't. New customers who deposit just $5 will get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Returning customers, don't worry. DraftKings is making sure to hook you up as well. All returning customers can score a no-sweat NBA bet also. And if sports betting isn't yet legal in your state, well, you can still join in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. So what are you waiting for? Go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use our promo code BULLYBALL and deposit just $5 and get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. That's promo code BULLYBALL only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Have you ever wondered if Chet Holmgren might be a descendant of Abraham Lincoln? Or if a UFC fighter could beat an alien in a fight? Well, maybe you haven't, and that's okay. But Shea Serrano and Jason Concepcion from Six Trophies, well, they certainly have. If you're like me and you like to listen to as many good basketball podcasts as you can, after you're done listening to Bully Ball, you gotta listen to Six Trophies. Every week, Shay and Jason serve up the biggest moments from around the NBA with their patented mix of joy, banter, pop culture side quests. They also hand out 6 pop culture themed trophies for 6 basketball related activities. Stuff like the Denzel Washington in Training Day trophy that's given out to a player or team having the best week around the NBA, or the Lauryn Hill You Might Win Some, but You Just Lost One trophy for the team or player that just can't get it together. Plus a bunch more trophies for all the good, bad, or just plain head-scratching moments around the NBA. So follow Bully Ball, but also follow 6 Trophies on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. Or you can listen ad-free by joining Wondery Plus. I want to get talking about the guys who won the game, obviously. And I just want to repeat this because I do think it's a crazy stat that since they started keeping records of this in the history of the NBA, no team has ever gone up 3-0 in a series after trailing in the final 5 minutes of each game. I mean, that's kind of crazy to wrap your head around, and yet these guys are doing it. And I just want to go through their clutch numbers. Through the season, they were 23-9 in the clutch. They already were doing this. They've been doing this for a while. In terms of offensive efficiency, best clutch team in the league for the season, number 2 overall. Doncic and Irving finishing last night's game, 33 points, combining for 21 on 8 of 10 shooting in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's just bonkers. Bonkers. That's the only way to say it.
Bad boys. Those some bad boys.
There's been a back and forth on the broadcast from the very beginning of the series. Stan Van Gundy was just talking about this is the most talented offensive backcourt in NBA history. And I was actually, I used to work at TNT and I was hanging with the guys in the green room before game 2. And Stan walks in and just Draymond pounces on him. This is pre-game, pre-show, everything, just right before. Stan barely got a word out. Hey, guys, how are you? What are you talking about? Best, most talented offensive backcourt in history. Did you forget about Clay and Steph? All this stuff. They continued this on the air. Reggie Miller was on the air at that point. He jumped in. So I want to get your guys' take on this because Stan has looked more and more correct as this series has gone on, but we are prisoners of the moment sometimes. And, Clay and Steph, dude, 4 titles. So
there's nothing to talk about.
It's a little bit of the phrasing, right? So are they the best, then kind of, Paul Pierce has continued this and he's like, oh, they're the best offensive duo ever. So, I mean, we've got like a lot of qualifiers. So is it the best offensive backcourt? Is it the most talented offensive backcourt? Those are 2 different things, actually, because best means that you've actually gotten the job done, whereas talent is a totally different question. So Stan is actually said talented. So I want to talk about that, because I think that if you just say best, I just think you got to give it to Steph and Clay outright because they've won 4 times. But let's talk about talent. If we just do it that way, talented offensive backcourt. Who do you guys got? Producer Nate came up with Steph, Clay, Harden, Westbrook, and Isaiah and Joe Dumars. So I don't know if you guys have any more nominees. What do you think, Boog? You start us off. Talented,
man.
Not best.
I mean,
talented.
when I start thinking about talent, Steve Francis, Cuttino Mobley, that combo comes to mind. Bradley Beal, John Wall, that combo comes to mind. We can even take it back to Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond. It's a lot of talented duos when it comes to just talent. But as far as being the best, I gotta agree with Draymond. I'm a guy that's about accomplishments. You can't be considered the best if it's not accomplishments to come with it. It's a lot of talented guys that come through the NBA. That's what the NBA is. It's a pool of talent. But what separates you is what you accomplish amongst that pool of talent, which is championships, accolades, things of that nature. So, I think it's clear as day who's the best. But as far as talent, we can have that conversation all day, and it almost goes to preference as well. Talent can be as far as the shooting ability of Klay Thompson, the shot creating ability of a Kyrie Irving, or handle athleticism and Steve Francis and Russell Westbrook, or the savvy of a James Harden. It just depends on what your preference is when it comes to talent. So I think that's a conversation that's never ending, honestly. I don't think we'll ever get to a solid answer on what's the most talented. It's too much talent.
Yeah, I think, some other names, Earl the Pearl and Walt Frazier. You got Penny and Jason Kidd. Good I know call. They got hurt, but that's as talented as you could get in the backcourt that they had in Phoenix. You got there's a lot of options out there, and like Boogie said, what are we talking about talent? Because I can say that Kyrie and Luka are more diverse with their skill set than I would say Steph and Clay.
Right.
I don't think you could throw the ball to Clay and have him create for others in the way that Kyrie, Luka, or Steph can. Right.
That was Stan's big argument, at least when they're having the fight in front of me, which was pretty funny, was look, Clay can't create for someone else the way that these two guys can. And that limits him so much that you then have to take that whole pairing down a peg compared to these guys.
Now, the flip side of that, though, Rachel, is can any of those guys guard like Clay could? That's talent, isn't it?
Well, this is offensive. Oh,
okay. Yeah. All right. That's fair.
Again, we're qualifying. We have everything in these arguments. It's sort of what are we saying? What's in the 3 words? Best what? Best talented offensive duo, best offensive. Anyway, but look, to your point, right?
But when you say it like that, as far as creating, maybe he's not the guy that's creating off the dribble, but the attention that he gets from his shooting ability creates opportunities for others. So that's still a form of creating.
Yes.
So, like I said, it just depends on your preference of talent.
When you played with Steph and Clay, was it different actually being on the court with them or in the locker room with them or on the bench watching them than it was as an opponent? When you were there on the court with them and watching them do their thing, did it feel different? Or as an opponent, you get it, how good they are?
Man, anything that left their hands was going in the basket.
Is that how it felt as a teammate?
Yeah, it really did. And that was the easiest basketball I've ever played in my life. It was literally just pick your poison. If you set a good screen, the big's gonna overreact. You're gonna have a wide open layup, or the backside's gonna overreact. Then you have a wide open. It was musical chair. It was just pick your poison. So, like I said, I get where they're coming from as far as playmaking ability with the ball, off the dribble, passing, things of that nature. But if I set a crazy screen on the guy that's guarding Clay, the big's gonna jump out. The guy's gonna fight his ass off to get over the screen, and I have a wide open slip, which is creating a shot for myself. So that's still That's still creating opportunity for the next guy with his shooting ability. So that's why I said it earlier. It's when it comes to talent, it's more about what's your preference of talent. So,
right. Well, look, follow up on the Wolves side of things. The flip side of that stat I kept reading is that they had the lead in all 3 games in the final 5 minutes and coughed it up. And that mental weight, too, I think has got to be weighing on all of them, not just Cat. And look, they were, I think, 22nd in crunch time over the course of the season. This has never been their biggest strength, but they've tried to make adjustments. You know, we all saw at the end of the Denver series when Ant gets on TV and says, "I've got Kyrie," which was just sort of like, not sure that Kyrie's the one you want to do that to, young man, but you know.
Rachel, but that's what Boogie was talking about earlier, that confidence, that like cocky act. Like, you have to have that. If you're going to guard Kyrie,
you have to have that.
You have to have like a little bit of insanity in you to say, yeah, I think I can do it.
But do you say it on national television?
I mean, hey, I'm not mad. It was great for TV. It was great for the fans. It was great for the game.
I love Ant. Everyone loves Ant. He is exactly what the NBA needs for his age, his but
and with that confidence, I never said it was always going to lead to the right thing. Like I said, it helps you get over those hurdles of hard times, having that confidence. I never said it was going to always put you in the right position. Sometimes that confidence can come back to bite you in the ass, which we just witnessed. But that's okay. Long as the confidence is there, you're going to always be able to overcome the shit.
He's going to be fine. You're not supposed to get to an NBA Finals as the team leader at 22. I mean, obviously it can happen, and it could have maybe with him, but the fact that it looks like it's not going to happen is not a failure in any sense. And he has been exceptional. He has come into his own. He's going to be exceptional on Team USA this summer. We are still going to be in the summer of Anthony Edwards. The confidence and the experience he's going to get through all of this, he's going to be sky high next season. I did think it was interesting, though, is that he did start out on Kyrie, of course. That faded a bit in the second game. By game 3, Conley was really more on Kyrie, and Ant was, I wouldn't say they were hiding him defensively at all, but they were definitely giving him easier assignments. And he was still tired. That game 2 I was at, he actually had to take oxygen in the second half of the game. He was out for a period, and they had him in the hallway with an oxygen mask on. And he's clearly getting tired. And I don't know, Boog, what you thought of that. I mean, he's young, he's 22, but I don't think he's ever played this deep before. And I don't know, what do you think about the fact that he clearly has been tired and not quite himself for the series?
Man, sounds like he's hitting the wall, which is kind of understandable. The expectations of this team has gone way higher than I think anybody really planned for. So, and then as far as I feel like they kind of, when it comes to this Timberwolves team, and I think it was more so by default, I feel like they felt like they accomplished the ultimate goal early in these playoffs, which was taking out the defending champs. And I felt like they got to the point where they started to kind of, no, it's not the time to do that. Even though you did the ultimate, task with, taking out the defending champs, it's still a lot more left in this run. And I think that's a sign of inexperience. I think that's a sign of, youth. And, and it's also part of the trials and tribulations of becoming a championship team. When you go back to think about Denver before they became the champs, they went through these same steps. Like, it was one point they were getting their ass kicked every year early in the play. It was to the point they couldn't get past the Lakers, and now the Lakers can't win a fucking game against them. So I think this is just the stages of becoming that championship team. You have to go through your trials and tribulations. You have to learn. The biggest teacher is experience. No matter who you add to this team, your core foundation has to go through these experiences to learn how to get past it. And, we're just watching this team, go through their struggles. I think they'll be fine. I think Anthony Edwards is going to have plenty of championships down the line. I think he's going to have an incredible career. But, this is just part of it. So I don't take it as a negative. But he has to go through. Nobody expected him to just go through this flawlessly. That's not how sports work. So and even if they did make it to the finals, I think they would have ran into a monster on this other side with Boston, just as simple as that. So, this is expected. I expected this for sure.
So, guys, the other thing we got to remember is he played 79 games this regular season. He's played 11 playoff games. He's averaging 41 minutes a night in the playoffs while guarding
Team
oftentimes.
USA, by the way,
and Team USA
what was it, August?
That. Yep.
Right?
So he's had, Rach, you said he's never had, this is by far the most basketball he's ever played in his life in the span of a calendar year. So
high-level basketball.
High-level basketball. And it's your first time playing this kind of intensity in terms of execution and all that. Beyond like, oh, he's 22 or whatever, it's understandable. Like sometimes it bothers me that people are like, oh, yeah, man, it's his first time. What you think? You think he's going to be perfect at everything? He's going to get tired. He's going to have to learn how to execute in certain situations. That turnover he had at the end of game 2. Like, is that who Anthony Edwards is as a player? No. But that happens when you're tired. And that happens when the stakes are at its highest.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, look, I still think they could get a game, especially with Derek Lively now probably going to be out. And that's sort of an interesting wrinkle. Left game 3 with a neck strain is what they're calling it. They said as of right now, he's not in the concussion protocol. We'll have to see.
No chance.
We'll have to see if he mysteriously
tell the truth.
Gets into the concussion protocol.
Tell the truth. That boy concussed, man. That knee, it was like a bullet to the back of his head. I was like, damn. I saw and TNT showed 100 replays. By the way, this is like 3 minutes after getting kneed in the other head. Oh man,
yeah.
I felt bad for that
kid. By the way, he is so just lovely as a person. I want to say every time I spend time around him, and I was in Minnesota at the beginning of the series, and I've been with Dallas like several times this season. And I got to tell you, he has his head on his shoulders. Well, maybe not today he has his head on his shoulders because I think it's in next week. But in general, he has such a good head on his shoulders. The story with his mom dying in the past year and just sort of, he was talking the other night about, he's like, I feel closest to her when I'm on the court, he said, because I can hear all those games, since he was a kid, that she would shout certain things after certain plays or when he was at the free throw line. He's like, so I can hear her in my head when I'm playing. And he's like, that's why I'm like so eager to play for her and to do things for her. And it's just, he's so smart and mature for being so young, and man, tanking pays off. Yay. Because the Mavericks were able to get him when, if they had gone for that play-in game, they wouldn't have. And I've just been super impressed with him. Hopefully he will be conscious by the time they start in the finals, if they do indeed get there. But I can't imagine him playing in the next game. So Minnesota could take a game and go back to Minnesota. We'll have to see if they can do that. On the Celtics side, we've already had Kristaps Porzingis ruled out for Game 4. Remember, there's chatter that he was going to maybe be able to come back in Game 4. Now that they're up 3-0, I don't see that happening. And look, we're not going to talk about a finals matchup quite yet because we've got 8, 10, 12 days before the finals. So we have plenty of time for that. But I did just want to talk about, we will likely see at this point Dallas and the Celtics with Lively maybe missing a game, but then having a week off, and hopefully he'll be okay by the time we start the finals. Porzingis, if he now doesn't come back in the finals, I thought maybe they would try to work him into a Game 4 or 5 if they had one, just so he could get his legs under him. Boogie, you played the finals cold, and it was a much different situation because you actually tore, what was it, your calf muscle?
I tore my quad muscle.
Tore your quad, even worse, much worse. Mm-hmm. And that you didn't play the entire postseason until you were dropped into the finals, which was incredible. I mean, I know you didn't play how you wanted to play, and I know you didn't feel like you should have been out there, but I was sitting courtside at those games. I couldn't believe you were even out there doing what you were doing.
Yeah, me either, right?
So obviously the physical capability aside, because you just were not yourself, just the idea of walking into a finals cold when you haven't played, in your case, none of the playoffs. Kristaps did play a few games in the first round series, but hasn't played since then. For either him or Derek, before we get to the Celtics in general, what do you think is going to be like for them if they don't play and then all of a sudden, boom, hey, welcome to the finals, welcome back to basketball?
I think they'll be fine. And the reason I say that is, one, it's a big difference in the amount of time missed and the return time. But when it comes to Porzingis, he's played most of the season. He's had a rhythm most of the year. He understands the system. This is more so just about finding his win and being comfortable on his feet, which isn't that hard. That may take a game or two. And I don't expect high minutes with his return. So that being said, I think they'll be fine. I think, the team is going about handling this injury the correct way, making sure he's 100% healthy. That's the most important thing. So I think he'll be fine. I think he'll work his way back in and fit in seamlessly. And the same thing goes for Lively. But the biggest difference is the reason that it was such a struggle for me is I was coming off the Achilles injury and I missed most of the regular season anyway. I ended up getting about 30 games with the team and I was finally getting my rhythm back. Like I was, feeling like myself again. I had the confidence in my body with my movements, things of that nature.
Well, you had some great games in that stretch.
True. So, I ended up blowing my quad, I believe that was game 2, first round. I blew my quad and, it was a muscle tear. With these guys, it's a neck strain, which is, a little more manageable, and a calf strain, which is a little more manageable. A complete tear is a little different. So, it was kind of a rushed process. I did the work that was necessary, but I just wasn't there physically. And on top of that, the confidence in my movements weren't there. But I was stubborn. I was thinking with my athletic spirit. Sometimes as athletes, we feel we're fucking invincible sometimes. Like it's nothing that can hold me back. Like that's just not the case sometimes. And that was what it was for me. So, once I finally got out there and I got amongst the speed of the game and just, I could feel I was 2-3 steps behind everybody else. So, I feel like that's the biggest difference. And, but for these guys, I think they'll be fine. They played most of the year. Their confidence is there. It's just about finding their win and making sure their feet are underneath them. And like I said, I feel they'll fit seamlessly.
Yeah, what Boogie went through is so unique because, like you said, not just the level of injury he's coming back from, then getting injured again, but also it's his first year with a team that's a machine. So part of that, Boogie, is usually like, okay, where do I fit in all of this? And trying to, be productive within that, trying to be yourself, but also trying to be a part of something bigger. For Lively and Porzingis, they know what their role is. They know where they fit in all of this.
KP's first year too. Look, Lively to me is just, I don't. It's almost like just the extra time is good for him, and he'd be fine. He's been in it this whole playoffs. But you really think KP's just not going to miss a step coming back? I mean, he's been gone for a long time. I
think it's what Boogie said. It's conditioning because he can do as much cardio and stuff on the practice court. There's nothing like game shape, so he's going to have some conditioning issues. And if he has any sort of doubts about his leg, because sometimes guys come back from an injury, they start favoring that leg or favoring that part of the body, and then the other side gets too much stress. Those are the things I would worry about for Porzingis. But in terms of the flow of the game, he knows. Yes, this is his first year in Boston, but he knows. He's not trying to figure his way. He knows exactly how he fits in. It's just, hey, can we get him in shape? And also, the idea that, look, who they play in the finals, obviously most years your finals matchup is going to be your toughest matchup. But for this Celtics team in particular, what they've been through in these first 3 rounds is nowhere near what they're about to face in the finals, regardless of whether it's Dallas or Minnesota makes a miraculous comeback. You're going to play a vastly better team than what you've been facing in the first 3 rounds. Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, they certainly haven't needed Kristaps Porzingis in these games. I do want to talk about the series a little bit. I mean, we said all year the Celtics haven't really been tested. Celtics fans feel like we can't win for losing. If we win by 20, it's not good enough. If we struggle, it's not good enough. I feel like this series, even without Tyrese Halliburton in one of these games, and he will not play in game 4 either, I feel like we have seen the Celtics be tested and answer the call. Do you feel like that, Amin? I mean, do you feel like we have finally seen what they can? No, not at all?
No, I don't. Okay. Look, here's the deal. The reality is,
I'm not saying that they've showed that they're champions yet. I just feel like I've seen a little bit more from them. You tell me.
Here's and obviously it takes two to tango. It can't just be one thing and not the other thing. So obviously the Celtics being able to make those plays, make those shots is big. But I'm watching an Indiana team that is giving it away and giving it away in true youth. Like they just don't know what they're doing. Yeah. There's things there where it's like, why would you do that? They're not even like, hey, you missed that shot. Or hey, you turned it over. Just like why would you do that? Nembhard in game 2, you have a timeout. No one's called a timeout. Like why?
That's Carlisle's fault. I'm sorry. That's on Carlisle.
It is on, but Nembhard knows players know before we go out there. You tell them, hey, if you ain't got it, you got one timeout in the pocket. You turn and you call it.
I know.
So that's facts.
So, or Siakam on that Jaylen Brown 3. First of all, not getting the switch. Y'all know we switch everything on an end of game, but they didn't switch there. And then your contest, rather than at least get a hand up, you got your hand literally shoved up your ass
behind your back.
These are things that look. Jaylen Brown still has to make that shot. The Celtics still have to pressure them to get that turnover, right? Which, by the way,
he was 22% on corner threes before that shot went up. So I would actually say Siakam made the right call on not fouling him. But yes, no, I mean, it's not – that game was the most sort of egregious of giving it away.
Well, I mean, last game –
But you're right. I was going to say, they've made mistakes throughout. It's not even just that game 2 or whatever it was. They have made a bunch of youth errors. And I think we heard one of the guys say that. I think Tyrese said that after game 2. He's like, we've showed our age here a little bit. Yeah. Right.
In game 3, like you think about that Holiday steal, that is almost, that is a veteran preying upon the inexperience, not only inexperience, but also, you talk about Andrew Nembhard. Forget about him being young. He's also never been in this situation where, like, you're the guy now.
Yeah.
So he's going.
Well, but that's what I was going to say is that don't you think that this is a little bit about the Celtics, though, too? Is that someone is putting the foot on their neck and that, like Drew Holiday, for example, look, I think you could name 3 guys, the MVP of this Eastern Conference Finals. Tatum's had a great series. Brown's had a great series. Drew Holiday, man, has been awesome. He has had so many great moments in this series. You think that this is all just because of subpar competition, or you think? I don't know, Boog, do you agree that this is just, it doesn't even count?
I just, for me, is becoming kind of laughable how the narrative is now shifting for this Boston Celtics team. We've watched them dominate all year long. Yeah. Since the beginning of the season, we've said there's not a team in the East that can fuck with this Boston team. Now that we get to the Eastern Conference playoffs, it's like, well, they haven't been tested. We've been saying it all year. There's nobody that can match up with them. So we've been calling it all year. Boston is coming out of the East. It didn't matter how it was going to happen. We knew this team was coming out. As far as earlier in the year, it was really only 2 teams mentioned that could possibly be a threat: a healthy Sixers team and a healthy Milwaukee Bucks team. Nobody else in the East stood a chance. So obviously,
and neither of those teams are healthy.
Obviously, the Sixers weren't healthy, so that's by default. Obviously, Milwaukee wasn't healthy. That's by default. Indiana had a miraculous run, but nobody thought they were coming out of the East, bro. Like, that's just that's facts. Like, and it's okay. Y'all had a great season, like, but reality kicked in. This Boston team is dominant. They are the most well put together team as far as defenders, as far as playmakers, as far as shooters, veterans, big man. They have a complete roster. They're the most and they have a top-notch coach to go along with that. So this team was built to be at this stage. They built this team specifically to be in the finals, and it's working. So I'm just confused as to now why we expected them to have more of a challenge throughout this run. Like, it's been called since day one. They were going to sweep through everything and come out of the East. That's exactly what they're doing. So I'm just confused why we're expecting different results now. Like, it's been said all year.
So I'm saying I'm impressed with this series is the first one where I feel like, hey, you're showing me ingredients that an NBA champion needs. And that does not mean that they weren't playing well the first 2 rounds. there just wasn't really an opportunity to show those ingredients. And I kept saying
they've been tested. It just wasn't this season. Their trials and tribulations and their struggles have come from past seasons.
No, you're totally right.
They've been tested. Yep. They're just now at the point where they're ready to be a championship team, and they're showing it. They've been tested. That's what I'm saying. This narrative now is laughable. Like, we just talked about how they can never get over the hump. Now they're over the hump, and it's like, oh, they haven't been tested. Like, that's bullshit. Like, they've been tested. They're here though. They've arrived as a championship caliber team. They're here, and now we're seeing the results of it.
I mean, can you say that you feel full knowledge of how good the Celtics are? See, I still feel like I need to see how they are against, say, a Dallas or a Minnesota to know yet how good they are, because they just seem so good right now. And I can't tell if that's because of level of competition or because they actually are that good.
But they've been so good, right? Like Boogie said,
right. That's what I mean. All season. I mean, historic point differentials
for years. For years they've been
6 out of 8 conference finals.
That's a hell of a run when you think about that. Like,
I get it, but that's not. But here's
it's easy to shoot on that.
Conference finals, but
that's insane.
No, I agree. That's what I keep saying. I've said that for weeks. 6 out of 8 conference finals is insane. But here's what we have been shown over the last 8 years is that they weren't good enough to win a title, right? So that's what we have been shown up until now, and we have not been. To me, prior to this round, I still wasn't shown anything that said, oh man, that is a title winning team, because I wasn't shown it in the previous 8 years because they didn't, or 7 years because they didn't get there. They didn't win it. So I know for a fact they weren't good enough to win it because they didn't win it. That's how I know. That's how I know they weren't good enough. They didn't win it. So I know that. And in the first 2 rounds, it's not that I thought they fell short. There was just nothing to show me. Like, I didn't see it because it just wasn't available to be seen. In this round, I have seen more things that a title-winning team needs to have. I still don't know if they can win it because they haven't done it yet. But at least to me in this round, I have seen a few more things that a title team needs to have. Do you feel, Amin, that you have a full sense of who this team is yet? Or you still need to see them against tougher competition to know really who they are?
I think
what's tougher?
It's
the NBA, man.
I'm going to say this, Boogie. I could define what tougher competition is. A team that's healthy.
Right.
Let's just start there. Let's play against a team that has its best player. Right,
bro. That's the playoffs. You can't. We can't have hypothetical arguments in the playoffs. I get injuries are a part of the game. That's like me saying, "Hey, man, the Raptors got lucky that year that they won because they fucking won. Like it's not their fault that our team got hurt. They won."
I'm not saying that it's their fault or whatever. I'm saying that if you're a boxer, right, and the first 3 guys you fight are all, we know that dude is not.
Well, boxing isn't a team sport, so that's not a good example.
It is in this sense. It's
okay. I'm gonna listen first. I'll listen first, then interrupt you.
Fight a bunch of opponents that we know they just what they call them, tomato cans. They just throw them out there so you can beat them up,
patsies,
right?
yeah.
Warm up fights.
Your next fight, so here's a great, like Jake Paul, right? You fight a bunch of dudes that ain't really that, and now you're gonna fight Mike Tyson. That's a different animal, man. That is a different animal. You're fighting something that is not like... Mike Tyson's
like 75 now. 83?
I still have him over everybody Jake Paul's fought in his life, right?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
In that same vein, right? Yeah, injuries are part of it. And if they play whoever in the finals and that team has injuries and they win, I can't put an asterisk or whatever. They won the title. But the reality is, Rachel's asking me, have they been tested? I'm saying, if you're being tested by Andrew Nembhard and Isaiah Jackson, what are you going to do when you play them guys? Like, what are you going to do when that test comes up? Because that's not the same kind of test. And that's the part where, going back to 6 out of 8 years of the last 8 years, Rachel, they have
are you saying
where they don't answer that call when push comes to shove, and when they haven't, it's not like they've crumbled against teams that weren't good. They got beat by the Warriors. The Warriors are just better, right? At that moment, the Heat last year were just better, but this is different. What you've been going through is not reality.
It's not. So
reality is going to show up, and you're going to have to be able to make those right plays, those right executions, right? Those right defensive rotations You can't be sloppy like they've been against Indiana, because when you give Indiana opportunities, they find a way to fuck it up anyway. Dallas ain't going to do that. You fuck around like that against them, you're going to be down 3-0 in a series.
You're going to find out. I believe the man said, "Fuck around and find out." Look, what do you think? You do not.
I disagree, because in a sense, I'm reading between the lines here, and it's almost the language that I'm hearing is that they've had an easy route throughout the playoffs, and there is no easy route in the playoffs, brother. Like,
how about easier? Can I say
we can go down history? Let's just go down history, and it's crazy because we were kind of talking about this before the show, and the most recent team with a so-called easiest path to the finals was the 2023 Nuggets. First round, 42-40 Timberwolves. Second round, 45-37 Suns.
The Suns team that beat them a couple years before, though.
Conference finals, 43-39 Lakers.
That Lakers team.
The conversation was never. But the conversation was never, oh, they had an easy route. Like, it's the playoffs. It's the most recent team before that. Let me finish. The most recent team before that, the 2013 Heat.
Come on, Kanye, let him finish.
First round, 38-44 Bucks, below 500. Second round, 45-37 Bulls. Conference finals, 49-32 Pacers. It's nothing that's jumping out on the paper to where, but these same championship teams aren't getting this slack. Everybody, and on top of that, when it comes to the playoffs, you do your work early throughout the regular season. You want to get a number one seed for a reason. So you do have an easier path to in the playoffs. You want to play the worst team compared to the best team when it comes to competing for a championship. That's the whole point of being the number one seed. So we're now upset that they did all their work early in the regular season, became the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, and they just so happen to run through all these Rudy Poo-ass teams in the East. How is it their fucking fault? I'm confused. How is that a knock to the Celtics now? Like, explain that.
I'm going to tell you what the difference is. Let me take Denver as an example. You named the teams they played on the way to the finals. Absolutely. You know what the difference is? Anthony Edwards played in the first round. Devin Booker played in the second round. And LeBron James played in the third round. And now if I'm looking at who they played against in the Celtics, the best player has been missing. Jimmy Butler missed the entirety of the Heat series. Donovan Mitchell.
The Heat have been trash this year, bro. Let's keep it a buck.
I'm not. Hey, I'm not saying
that wasn't changing shit.
I'm not saying if Jimmy had played, they would have won. I'm saying the reason why people are saying their path has been easier isn't because, they played bad teams. It's because they're playing teams that are missing their best player. That's a big difference from just playing teams that we're just better than.
I heard this same language the year that Kawhi came down and rolled his ankle against the Warriors. I heard this same language. And look what the Warriors turned into. So what the fuck does that mean because teams are injured? That doesn't mean anything. It's still the NBA. The Warriors turned into a dynasty after that.
Andrew Nembhard and Tyrese Halliburton, ain't no difference there. Like, it's easier to beat.
I'm not saying it's not a difference. But they're a playoff team and they're there for a reason.
Yeah,
that's no knock to the Celtics. That's no knock to the Celtics.
Here's what I love. It's 1 a.m. in Taiwan. Boogie is in the middle of the finals.
Yeah.
In the middle of the finals, and he came with receipts. Despite it being 1 a.m., despite him being in the middle of a finals playoff series, he's got the records of every team and who they played through every run to the finals. That is impressive. I am just saying,
thank you, Ray.
Forget finals MVP. You may be going for that, but you were also podcast MVP this week. I'm just saying the man came with receipts. I do want to show how tough Boogie has been fighting out there in Taiwan. We've been showing the Boogie Chronicles every week here. I love this because I get to see a little bit of what you're doing. And we have some from your first two games of the finals. I do want to take a look at this real quick, everybody.
Finals are way more mental than anything. Okay, it's about locking in. Boogie had a great point, great leadership with the group here, but it's about like you guys locking in from beginning to end. There's always stuff we don't control, okay? Right? We got no control on referees. We got no control on crowds. We got no control on what they do. We control what we do.
Game 1 of the finals. It's the reason guys play the game. Be on this stage, be able to play for the ultimate goals, the championships. It's just about getting the win. Doing whatever we can as a team, as individuals, to, make sure you do that. So, game 1, we locked in.
We got one more half of basketball. Let's be the best versions of ourselves, bro. We got this shit.
We're too talented of a team to just have a program like that or a franchise like that just try and bully us. And I will say they punched us in the mouth in the first half, but that's playoff basketball, and we matched their intensity and exceeded it, and they fought hard for the win, and 2 more to go. Win!
Game 2 is probably equivalent to game 1 when it comes to just setting the tone and putting yourself in a position to be successful in this series. We got an incredible effort from them in game 1, but we know game 2 is good or even better as far as effort. So we got to come out and be better than we were game 1, and set the tone for the series.
On our coverages, we kind of getting mixed up with the over and unders, and they getting a lot of good looks from that. And our best offense right now is moving that motherfucker and playing together. Miles, Wayne, y'all continue to be aggressive off the pick and roll. When y'all are aggressive, it opens up the entire floor. If you got a little bit of space off the screen, shoot it. We believe in y'all to shoot. Y'all can shoot the shit out the ball. Shoot the ball. We got to create more mismatches for him. That's on me. Let's find our flow again. We down 6. And we are playing like shit. If we're 50% better, 75% better, we're going to kick their ass. We just got to refocus. Is adding up a lot of little things, okay? But one fucking big thing today was Leachy Way's 3-point shot at the end, man. We got 2 more. Keep your eyes on the prize. Let's not be happy with this. We're halfway there only. 2 more, guys.
Let's go.
Boog, halftime speech. Over like twice. You had to rally the crew on both games.
Man.
That was serious, man.
I'm telling you, it's some real ball being played out here. So the motivation is definitely needed at times. And like I said, we got a really good group of guys. They're committed, they're locked in, they're sponges. We're open to communication, and we communicate the best way we can because obviously there's a language barrier. But everybody's open to criticism, it's taken respectfully, and that's what's helping us get to the point we're at now, and that's going to help us move forward with hopefully winning the championship. So, like I said earlier, I'm super proud of this group.
I mean, when you think about when you first started in the like scouting basketball operations side of things in Phoenix, and you were doing some stuff in New York too, and just the way international ball has changed so much and the quality of games over there, like the way Boogie's playing right now. I mean, it's just off the charts all the way around the world, right?
Yeah, no, the talent is everywhere, and the opportunities to show the talent are everywhere. And Rachel, you know this, Boogie, you too. Like, we know who the great players are in the world. Like the Steph Currys and the Anthony Edwards, those are obvious, right? But once you get down into like 8, 9, 10 on an NBA roster, these are the guys that are here. But that doesn't mean there isn't a guy somewhere, whether it's in the G League, whether it's in Turkey, whether it's in China, in Taiwan, that can't be also that role. And so when you have more talent everywhere, I think it creates a better product, but also for a scouting standpoint, you have to keep an open mind as far as where I'm looking for talent, because it's not just guys that are, in high college level, D1 college. It's everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's been so fun to watch these games, but I didn't see, you can't tell the speeches on TV. We don't get that access until we get to the Chronicles. So I'm happy to see the little halftime action. 33 years old, and you're speaking like a 40-year-old sage. That's all I'm saying.
I've been through a lot.
My friend. I love it. Well, good luck for the rest of the finals. I don't know. It's possible that by the time we talk to you again next Monday, you could already be a champion. We'll find out.
We'll see what happens.
So good luck the rest of the way, and we will see you next week. Amin, thank you so much for jumping in. We always love it when you're here. We'll see you more as the rest of the spring and summer progress. But all you all watching, thank you. You can catch all episodes of Bully Ball on the DraftKings Network. We're excited about that. All the Smoke Productions YouTube channel. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. Rate us, review us, give us the 5 stars. It'll help us out, and we will catch you next week.